Ladies and gentlemen, in this fast-paced world, we are constantly surrounded by the noise of people, opinions, judgments, and negativity. It can be tempting to react when provoked or hurt, but the greatest strength lies in knowing when to remain silent and when to disengage. Self-control is one of the most underrated yet powerful tools we possess. It is the ability to regulate our emotions, thoughts, and behaviors in the face of external demands, to act in accordance with our values, and to resist impulses that can derail us from our goals. In a world where instant gratification is constantly within reach, the power of self-control is more essential than ever. It's a fundamental aspect of emotional intelligence and plays a pivotal role in maintaining mental well-being, building meaningful relationships, and achieving long-term success. One of the primary reasons self-control is so powerful is that it enables us to take full ownership of our responses. Every day we face situations where we are tempted to react impulsively or emotionally, whether it's an argument, a challenging work situation, or personal disappointment. In these moments, self-control allows us to pause, assess the situation, and choose a measured response rather than being swept away by immediate feelings. The more we practice self-control, the more we realize that our true power lies in our ability to decide how to act in any given circumstance, regardless of external provocations. Furthermore, self-control is foundational to maintaining inner peace. When we react impulsively, we often regret our actions later, which leads to guilt, shame, or frustration. These emotions in turn disrupt our peace of mind and can even affect our relationships and sense of self-worth. By exercising self-control, we can avoid unnecessary emotional turmoil and preserve our internal balance. Instead of reacting to someone's rude behavior or a stressful situation, we can consciously choose to respond with calmness, understanding, or even silence. This approach not only prevents the escalation of conflicts, but also maintains a sense of composure that serves us in the long run. Self-control is also essential for focusing on long-term goals. The ability to resist immediate gratification in favor of a greater, more meaningful reward is one of the hallmarks of personal growth. Many of the things that bring us the most fulfillment, whether it's financial stability, career advancement, or personal development, require sustained effort and discipline. In the face of distractions or temptations, the practice of self-control keeps us on track. It helps us say no to short-term pleasures that would lead us astray and yes to the actions and decisions that align with our higher purpose. In this way, self-control becomes a guiding principle, steering us through life's challenges toward the fulfillment of our deepest aspirations. Moreover, self-control helps us navigate relationships more effectively. We are constantly interacting with others, and emotions are an inevitable part of those interactions. Without self-control, we might say things in anger, make decisions based on fleeting emotions, or act out of frustration. However, when we practice self-control, we create the space for empathy, patience, and understanding. It becomes easier to listen actively rather than react defensively, to seek solutions rather than escalate problems, and to maintain healthy boundaries rather than allowing others' behaviors to provoke us. In relationships, self-control fosters trust, respect, and harmony. The power of self-control also lies in its ability to build resilience. Life is full of adversity, and the ability to maintain composure in the face of challenges is crucial to personal growth. Self-control teaches us to manage our reactions, face difficulties with a sense of inner strength, and bounce back from setbacks without losing sight of our goals. It enables us to adapt, learn, and continue moving forward, even when the road ahead seems difficult or uncertain. The more we practice self-control, the more resilient we become in overcoming obstacles and emerging stronger. In a world where everyone is vying for attention and constantly engaging in dialogue, silence has become an undervalued but deeply potent tool. Silence is often associated with weakness or passivity, yet it is one of the strongest forms of communication available to us. It is not the absence of sound, but the presence of power, wisdom, and self-restraint. True strength is often found in moments of silence, where we choose to hold our peace rather than react impulsively. The strength in silence lies in its ability to create space for reflection and clarity. In the heat of conflict or confusion, words can become tangled and emotions can cloud judgment. Speaking hastily or reacting immediately often leads to regret or misunderstanding. Silence, on the other hand, allows us to pause, take a step back, and gain perspective. In these moments, we can assess the situation from a place of calm, think critically, and decide on a response that aligns with our values and long-term goals. By holding our tongue in difficult moments, we avoid adding fuel to the fire, and instead we create room for more thoughtful action. Silence also empowers us to protect our emotional energy. Engaging with negativity, whether it's from toxic people, unnecessary drama, or harmful environments, drains our energy. Constant verbal confrontation or defending oneself can be exhausting, both mentally and physically. By choosing silence, we disengage from the emotional pull of others' words and actions. This doesn't mean avoiding conflict altogether, but rather making a conscious decision not to engage in battles that do not serve our peace or growth. Silence is a shield that preserves our energy, allowing us to conserve our strength for more meaningful endeavors. Furthermore, silence can be an act of maintaining dignity and self-respect. There are moments when words fall short, and the most powerful statement we can make is to say nothing at all. When faced with disrespect, misunderstanding, or hostility, responding with silence speaks louder than any verbal retort. It is a way of signaling that we refuse to lower ourselves to a level of unnecessary conflict. We recognize that our worth is not determined by the opinions of others or by engaging in every dispute. Silence in such situations is not an admission of defeat, but an assertion of our self-control, wisdom, and self-worth. The strength in silence also lies in its ability to build deeper connections. Often, the most meaningful relationships are built on understanding and empathy, not constant talking. When we remain silent and truly listen, we show others that we value their presence and perspectives. In silence, we allow space for others to speak, to express their emotions, and to feel heard. Active listening, powered by silence, fosters trust, respect, and a deeper sense of connection. When we choose to hold our peace rather than interrupt or dominate the conversation, we create an environment where people feel comfortable opening up, knowing that they are valued for who they are. Additionally, silence enables us to maintain control over our actions and words. In moments of anger, frustration, or pain, our immediate impulses might urge us to lash out. However, silence gives us the time to suppress those knee-jerk reactions and consider the consequences of our words. It helps us prevent harm, save relationships, and avoid decisions we might later regret. The ability to hold our silence is a demonstration of emotional maturity and restraint, traits that are integral to building trust and respect in all areas of life. Personal boundaries are fundamental to maintaining healthy relationships, preserving our mental and emotional well-being, and protecting our sense of self. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out. Rather, they are guidelines that help us manage how we interact with others and how we allow others to interact with us. These boundaries define our limits and establish what we are comfortable with emotionally, physically, and mentally. When we set and enforce these boundaries, we demonstrate self-respect and communicate our values, needs, and desires clearly. One of the key aspects of personal boundaries is recognizing our right to define them. Often we may feel pressured by societal norms, family expectations, or peer influences to behave in ways that do not align with our authentic selves. People might push us to overextend ourselves, to say yes when we feel no, or to accept behaviors from others that make us uncomfortable. However, we must remember that we have the right to choose what is acceptable and what is not in our lives. Setting boundaries is a way of affirming our personal rights, and it is a sign of strength to be able to assert our needs and preferences. Physical boundaries are the most immediate and obvious form of personal boundaries. They include our need for space, privacy, and physical touch. Everyone has their own comfort zone regarding how close others can get to them, whether in terms of personal space or physical contact. Establishing these physical boundaries helps protect us from unwanted touch, intrusion, or discomfort. It also promotes a sense of safety and control over our environment. When we respect our own physical boundaries and those of others, we cultivate an atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. Emotional boundaries, on the other hand, deal with the way we protect our emotional energy. We must understand that we are responsible for our own feelings, and it is not our job to carry the emotional burdens of others unless we choose to do so. People often try to impose their emotional baggage or negativity on us, whether through manipulation, guilt, or demands. Healthy emotional boundaries allow us to recognize when others' emotions are not our responsibility and empower us to protect our emotional state. Setting these boundaries means we no longer allow others to dictate how we should feel or how much emotional labor we should invest in a situation or relationship. Mental boundaries involve the preservation of our thoughts, beliefs, and intellectual autonomy. We must respect our own minds by not allowing others to manipulate our thinking or force us into adopting viewpoints that do not align with our values. Setting mental boundaries means protecting our time and energy from being consumed by the opinions or expectations of others. It is about asserting our right to think independently and to not be coerced into adopting perspectives or engaging in discussions that drain us or conflict with our beliefs. Setting boundaries is an ongoing practice that requires self-awareness, courage, and consistency. It's not always easy, as it may challenge existing relationships or confront societal expectations. At times, others may resist or be offended by the boundaries we set, especially if they are used to us being more accommodating or less assertive. However, it is crucial to remember that boundaries are not about controlling others, they are about taking responsibility for our own well-being. When we consistently enforce our boundaries, we teach others how to treat us, and we create a foundation of respect that fosters healthy, balanced relationships. Furthermore, boundaries are not static, they can evolve as we grow and change. Our needs and comfort levels may shift depending on our life circumstances, personal growth, and experiences. As we learn more about ourselves, our values, and our desires, we may need to reassess and adjust our boundaries accordingly. Flexibility in setting boundaries is a sign of self-awareness and adaptability, ensuring that we continue to honor our needs while maintaining healthy connections with others. Conflict is an inevitable part of life. It arises in personal relationships, professional settings, and even within ourselves. The way we respond to conflict can either escalate or resolve the situation. Rising above conflict is not about avoiding confrontation, but about navigating it with wisdom, grace, and self-control. It is about responding with a sense of purpose rather than reacting out of anger, fear, or frustration. When we rise above conflict, we retain our integrity, protect our peace, and demonstrate emotional maturity. One of the first steps in rising above conflict is gaining control over our emotions. When conflict arises, especially in heated situations, it's easy to be swept away by our feelings. Whether it's anger, hurt, or frustration, these emotions can cloud our judgment and lead to impulsive reactions. However, when we consciously choose to control our emotions, we create space to think clearly. This doesn't mean suppressing our feelings or pretending they don't exist, rather. It means acknowledging our emotions and allowing ourselves time to process them before responding. By doing so, we prevent ourselves from acting impulsively and saying things that might harm the situation or the people involved. Rising above conflict also involves adopting a perspective of understanding. Often conflicts arise because of misunderstandings, differing viewpoints, or unspoken expectations. Rather than reacting defensively, we can choose to listen actively and try to understand the other person's point of view. This doesn't mean we have to agree with them, but it helps us approach the situation with empathy rather than hostility. When we listen to understand rather than to respond, we create an opportunity for resolution. It's about fostering an environment where both parties feel heard and valued, which opens the door for collaboration and compromise. In addition, rising above conflict requires us to separate the person from the problem. It's easy to become personally offended during a conflict, to see the other person as the enemy rather than the situation or issue at hand. However, when we view the conflict as something that can be resolved together, rather than something that pits us against the other person, we shift our focus from blame to resolution. By addressing the problem instead of attacking the individual, we create a space for constructive dialogue and mutual respect. This perspective allows us to handle conflict more effectively and with less emotional turmoil. Moreover, rising above conflict means maintaining a long-term view. Often in the heat of a disagreement, we focus solely on winning the argument or proving our point. However, the true goal should be the preservation of relationships and the achievement of mutual understanding. In many cases, the consequences of a conflict are far-reaching. A momentary victory in an argument may create long-lasting damage in a relationship. By rising above the immediate desire to win, we keep our focus on what is more important: harmony, respect, and collaboration. When we take a step back and consider the long-term implications of our words and actions, we often find that resolution is far more valuable than being right. Another important aspect of rising above conflict is knowing when to disengage. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every conflict requires our involvement. Sometimes the best way to rise above a situation is to simply step away, allowing emotions to settle and giving both parties time to reflect. Disengaging doesn't mean avoiding the problem, it means choosing to address the situation when both sides are more likely to engage calmly and rationally. By knowing when to disengage, we prevent ourselves from becoming enmeshed in unnecessary drama and allow ourselves to focus on what truly matters. Rising above conflict also requires us to practice forgiveness. Holding on to anger or resentment only prolongs the conflict and keeps us tied to negative emotions. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning bad behavior or forgetting what happened. It means releasing ourselves from the burden of bitterness. It's about freeing ourselves from the emotional weight that conflict can create. When we choose to forgive, we reclaim our peace and open the door to healing, both for ourselves and the relationship in question. In a world that values constant interaction and immediacy, the act of disengaging can seem counterintuitive or even passive. Yet disengagement is one of the most powerful tools we can wield to protect our well-being, maintain our focus, and preserve our emotional peace. It is the conscious decision to remove ourselves emotionally, mentally, or physically from situations, relationships, or environments that drain our energy, stir up negativity, or divert us from our true purpose. The power of disengagement lies not in avoidance, but in its ability to empower us to choose where to invest our time and energy and when to step back from what doesn't serve us. One of the most significant aspects of disengagement is its role in preserving mental clarity. In conflict or chaotic situations, emotions can cloud our judgment, leading us to make impulsive decisions or engage in behaviors that we later regret. By disengaging, we give ourselves the space to process our thoughts and emotions without reacting in the heat of the moment. This pause allows us to assess the situation from a place of calm, enabling us to respond thoughtfully rather than out of immediate frustration or anger. Disengagement is not a retreat, it is an intentional act of gaining perspective and clarity. Additionally, disengagement offers us the opportunity to protect our emotional well-being. We are all surrounded by people and situations that can be draining, whether it's toxic relationships, negative environments, or emotionally taxing interactions. These sources of negativity often seek to pull us into their chaos, leaving us feeling exhausted or overwhelmed. By disengaging, we create healthy boundaries that protect our emotional energy. We do not have to engage with every person who demands our attention or every situation that arises. Learning to step away when needed helps us maintain a sense of peace and stability, rather than becoming entangled in circumstances that deplete us. The power of disengagement also lies in its ability to strengthen our focus. We are constantly bombarded with distractions, whether they are people, problems, or external demands. When we are constantly pulled in multiple directions, it becomes difficult to maintain a clear vision of our goals or priorities. Disengaging from distractions allows us to concentrate on what truly matters. By saying no to things that are not aligned with our purpose, we free up time and energy to focus on what will move us forward. Whether it's a project, personal growth, or a meaningful relationship, disengagement can help us prioritize and invest our resources where they are most valuable. Furthermore, disengagement is a vital tool for maintaining dignity and self-respect. Often we find ourselves in situations where we are being provoked or mistreated. In these moments, the instinct may be to fight back or prove ourselves, but engaging in conflict rarely results in a positive outcome. Disengaging allows us to avoid the unnecessary escalation of tension and maintain our composure. By choosing not to engage with negativity or hostility, we assert our own worth and demonstrate that we will not lower ourselves to the level of those who seek to undermine or provoke us. It is a powerful way of signaling that we are in control of how we respond to others and that we will not allow external circumstances to dictate our emotional state. In relationships, disengagement can be an act of self-care. Not every connection is healthy or beneficial. We may find ourselves caught in cycles of unhealthy interactions or codependent relationships that drain us rather than nourish us. In these cases, disengaging, whether it's emotionally detaching or physically removing ourselves from the situation, can help us regain our sense of self and prevent further harm. Disengagement is not about cutting off people indiscriminately, but about knowing when to step away for the sake of our own well-being. It is a form of self-respect that allows us to set boundaries and choose connections that are mutually supportive and enriching. Finally, disengagement gives us the power to reset and recharge. Life can be overwhelming with demands and stresses constantly pulling at us. In order to function at our best, we need time to rest, reflect, and rejuvenate. Disengaging from the noise and distractions of daily life provides the opportunity to reconnect with ourselves, reflect on our goals, and restore our energy. It is during these moments of disengagement that we often gain insight, inspiration, and the strength to face challenges with renewed vigor. In a world that constantly demands our attention, staying focused on our purpose is more important than ever. Our purpose is the driving force behind everything we do. It is what gives our actions meaning, direction, and clarity. It serves as our internal compass, guiding us through challenges, decisions, and even successes. However, the distractions of daily life, societal pressures, and the constant flow of information can easily pull us away from this purpose. The ability to focus on our purpose is not just about staying on track, it's about aligning our actions, thoughts, and energy with our core values and long-term goals. The first step in focusing on our purpose is identifying what it truly is. Many people go through life without a clear understanding of their purpose, simply reacting to the circumstances around them instead of consciously living with intention. Discovering our purpose requires self-reflection, deep questioning, and understanding of what truly matters to us. It might involve identifying our passions, talents, values, and the impact we want to have on the world. When we are clear about our purpose, we can align our goals and daily actions with it, ensuring that we are not merely drifting through life, but actively working towards something meaningful. Once our purpose is clear, the next step is to protect it from distractions. Distractions can come in many forms: the opinions of others, societal expectations, fleeting desires, or even the demands of daily life. These distractions often lead us to lose focus, pulling us away from our true path and causing us to waste time and energy on things that do not serve our greater goals. In order to stay focused on our purpose, we must learn to say no to things that do not align with our values. This means setting boundaries with our time, energy, and attention. It requires discernment in choosing what we invest ourselves in, recognizing that not everything deserves our focus. The more we protect our purpose from distractions, the more we ensure that our energy is being used wisely and effectively. Moreover, staying focused on our purpose requires perseverance, especially when faced with obstacles. It is easy to lose sight of our goals when challenges arise or when progress seems slow. During these times, our commitment to our purpose is what keeps us moving forward. When we stay focused on the bigger picture, we can weather the storms of difficulty with resilience. Every setback becomes a lesson, and every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Those who are focused on their purpose do not let temporary frustrations derail them. Instead, they remain determined, knowing that success is not measured by immediate results, but by the consistency of their efforts over time. Focusing on our purpose also involves maintaining a mindset of intentionality. In a world full of distractions and noise, it is easy to become reactive, responding to situations as they arise without considering how they fit into our larger vision. When we operate with intentionality, we are making deliberate choices that align with our purpose. This means being proactive about how we spend our time, who we spend it with, and what we invest our energy in. It's about being mindful in every decision, understanding how each action contributes to the fulfillment of our ultimate purpose. Living with intentionality ensures that every step we take moves us closer to our desired destination. Furthermore, staying focused on our purpose requires constant self-awareness and evaluation. Over time, our goals and aspirations may evolve, and we must be willing to reassess our purpose as we grow. Regular reflection allows us to check whether we are still on the right path or if adjustments are needed. It's important to be flexible and adaptable, but also unwavering in our commitment to what matters most. When we are self-aware, we are better equipped to navigate life's uncertainties, adjusting our course without losing sight of our purpose. Lastly, focusing on our purpose brings a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. When our actions align with our core values and beliefs, we experience a deep sense of meaning and purpose in everything we do. This internal satisfaction is far more lasting and rewarding than any external validation or success. When we are focused on our purpose, we are not seeking approval from others or chasing fleeting desires. We are living authentically, in alignment with our true selves. This alignment leads to greater happiness, contentment, and a sense of peace, knowing that we are contributing to something greater than ourselves. In today's fast-paced world, where external pressures and constant noise can overwhelm us, achieving and maintaining inner peace is often neglected. However, inner peace is not merely a luxury or an occasional moment of calm. It is a fundamental necessity for living a balanced, fulfilling, and healthy life. When we prioritize inner peace, we create a solid foundation for how we navigate the world around us, how we interact with others, and how we respond to life's challenges. Inner peace is not about avoiding conflict or suppressing emotions, but about cultivating a deep sense of tranquility and balance within ourselves, regardless of external circumstances. One of the first steps in prioritizing inner peace is understanding that it comes from within. Often we seek peace in external circumstances, in the approval of others, in material possessions, or in the belief that everything around us must be perfect for us to feel at ease. However, true peace is not reliant on external conditions. It is an internal state that we must nurture by turning inward. By taking responsibility for our own emotional and mental well-being, we realize that the power to find peace lies within us, and we are the ones who control it. When we cultivate an inner space of calm, we are less susceptible to the turbulence that may surround us. In order to experience inner peace, we must also learn to let go of past hurts and grievances. Holding on to anger, resentment, or regret keeps us anchored in negative emotions, preventing us from moving forward. Forgiveness, both of ourselves and others, is a crucial part of this process. When we let go of past wounds, we release ourselves from the grip of these emotions and create space for healing and growth. Inner peace requires us to free ourselves from the burden of unresolved emotions and to make peace with the past so that we can live fully in the present. This process of letting go is not easy, but it is necessary for true inner peace to flourish. Another important aspect of prioritizing inner peace is learning to manage our thoughts. Our minds are often bombarded with a constant stream of thoughts, many of which are negative, self-critical, or distracting. These thoughts can create inner turmoil, leaving us feeling anxious, overwhelmed, or disconnected. By learning to observe our thoughts without judgment, we can create a space between ourselves and the mental chatter that disturbs our peace. Practices such as meditation, mindfulness, and deep breathing can help us quiet the mind and gain better control over our thoughts. When we stop identifying with every thought that arises, we begin to cultivate a sense of inner calm that is unshaken by the fluctuations of the mind. In addition, setting healthy boundaries is essential for preserving inner peace. Often we allow others to impose their expectations, demands, and negativity on us, which drains our energy and disrupts our sense of peace. Establishing clear boundaries helps protect our emotional and mental space, ensuring that we are not constantly influenced or overwhelmed by the needs and behaviors of others. Setting boundaries means saying no when necessary, stepping away from toxic environments, and learning to prioritize our well-being. By respecting our own boundaries, we show ourselves the same level of care and consideration that we offer to others. Furthermore, inner peace requires a commitment to self-compassion. Many of us are our own harshest critics, constantly judging ourselves for our perceived flaws, mistakes, or shortcomings. This self-judgment creates inner conflict and prevents us from finding peace within. By practicing self-compassion, we treat ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and patience that we would offer to a friend. This means acknowledging our imperfections without shame and recognizing that we are worthy of love and peace, despite our flaws. Self-compassion allows us to accept ourselves fully, creating an internal environment that fosters calm and serenity. Lastly, prioritizing inner peace involves embracing acceptance and surrender. Life is unpredictable and we cannot control everything that happens to us. However, we can choose how we respond to life's challenges. Acceptance does not mean resignation or complacency, rather it means acknowledging things as they are without resistance. When we stop fighting against circumstances, we release ourselves from unnecessary stress and frustration. Surrendering to the flow of life allows us to find peace even in moments of uncertainty, knowing that we do not have to control every outcome. By accepting life as it comes, we align ourselves with a greater sense of harmony and inner tranquility. In conclusion, the journey toward personal growth, inner peace, and purposeful living is not defined by external circumstances, but by how we respond and navigate life's challenges. By focusing on our purpose, practicing self-control, setting healthy boundaries, and rising above conflict, we empower ourselves to maintain our peace and live authentically. Disengaging from distractions and negativity is a conscious choice that strengthens our resolve and sharpens our focus. When we prioritize our inner peace, we create a solid foundation for a life of balance, fulfillment, and resilience, ensuring that we remain true to ourselves, regardless of the turbulence around us.